Welcome to Monobiology. Today we're going to learn about the neuron, which is essentially the major type of cell that you're going to find in the nervous system. And of course the nervous system is very important in controlling homeostasis in the human body and in all animals that have higher order cells like these. This would be a representation of what would be found in like a mammal's body. So this is a neuron, a sophisticated neuron that you'd find in an animal like a mammal, human for instance. Okay, so you should have this same picture in your nervous system booklet, or a sheet that I would have given you. And so you're going to label it according to this video. Now, you guys know I'm messy, so instead of naming everything on here, I put some numbers. I'm going to say what everything is, I'm going to give you an idea of what they do, and that's what you're going to write down. So if you need to stop and go back and rewind and play the video again, by all means do that. We're going to start with number 1. And number 1 isn't just this part right here. It's all, see all these branches that are going along here? All of these? Okay, that's the first thing we're going to label. And those are called dendrites. Dendrites. Okay? And essentially, their purpose is to receive electrochemical impulses from either other neurons or from sensory cells, depending on what the circumstances are. So from other neurons or from sensory cells. That's what they do. They receive electrochemical impulses from either other neurons or sensory cells. That's number 1. Number 2, this area that's circled right here is what's known as the cell body of the neuron. You can see that a neuron is not shaped like any of the other cells that we've looked at. It's a very different kind of shape. It just looks like a tree. Okay, so up here in this area, we have the cell body. Okay, and in the cell body, that's where all of the organelles that other typical cells would have. Now, obviously, it's a neuron is a specialized cell, so it wouldn't have every type of organelle, and it would have different numbers of different types of organelles, but this is where the majority of those organelles would be located. Not to say there wouldn't be some in other places. Okay, number 3, as you can see right here, that's the nucleus. You can see the nucleolus in the middle, but number 3 is the nucleus. That's where the DNA for the neuron would be located. Okay, this long branch goes along here, like that. That's number 4, and that is the axon. Okay, that's the axon. Okay, now if we were actually talking about an electrochemical signal, because these guys receive the signal is going to move, I'll just show you here, the signal is going to move in this direction. Okay? So the dendrites receive the signal, these guys here receive the signal, the signal gets pushed down here, and then eventually in here, which we get to number 5, these are the axon terminals. All these branches here, they're kind of like the roots of the tree. Those are the axon terminals. Okay, but the electrochemical impulse goes this direction. And these are the axon terminals, and they're all of these right here. They look like the ends of the roots. Okay, there's 2 other parts that I want you to add, and my drawings aren't very good, so certainly feel free to use your textbook or the internet to look up pictures of what they would actually look like. Okay, but what I was meant to have drawn here for number 6 is what's known as a Schwann cell. Okay, a Schwann cell, I'm pretty sure it's German, Schwann, Schwann. Schwann cell. Okay, and those cells are wrapped all the way around the axon. Okay, so that's supposed to be the Schwann cell, and believe it or not, that's supposed to be the nucleus of my Schwann cell, but again, you guys know I can't draw, so there it is. Okay, and then that's number 6. So number 6, you see this is a Schwann cell, and this is a Schwann cell. There's a little bit of a gap in between each one, but technically those Schwann cells would cover the entire length of the axon. Okay, now underneath here, what I've drawn is what the Schwann cells produce, and they produce a substance called myelin. Okay, and myelin is a material. It's basically an electrical insulator, Okay, so what it allows to happen, and we'll talk about this in more detail later on, it allows for the electrochemical impulse to travel at faster speeds. How could an insulator make the chemical signals travel at faster speed? Like I said, we'll get to that later, but that's what this is meant to be. This stuff at the bottom here is what the Schwann cells produce, and it's called myelin. Okay, so if you need to rewind this, go back, make sure you have everything labeled, but don't just label it. Make sure you write down the definitions for what each thing is. Again, if you want to make your definitions more substantial than what I said here, I'm giving you kind of the nutshell version. If you want to get your definitions, textbook ready, then you can use your textbook. Or if you want to get them Wikipedia ready, then you can use Wikipedia. The key is, do you understand what you're writing down? Make sure you do, and bring any questions to class. And that, in a nutshell, is the introduction to the neuron and how to label it and what the different parts are.